I'm pretty lucky. I have a few different varieties of chickens. I managed to keep three different types of specialty chickens. So I have got the ones below us here are called Faverol. They let you pet them all the time. They have 5 toes. They kind of get picked on in the coop. They're pretty rare. You can kind of tell by their faces. I don't know if you guys can see their faces at all. They have some lady beards. And they're just super friendly. They're really, just really good backyard chickens to have for a family. I was lucky enough to be able to hatch some. I have some babies, not their babies because I don't have any roosters. I ordered these eggs from Quebec. So these ones are imported from Quebec. And I was only able to hatch 2, but now I have 6 more chicks that I'll probably show you guys later. If we're lucky, we'll get to see some later. So there hopefully will be some roosters in there, and maybe I'll be able to get more because who doesn't want more chickens?
I hear a rooster crowing right now.
He's the main man in the coop. His name's Vlad. So he's a Pavlovskia, and they're the rarest ones I have in my brood. So these ones coming here with the crazy hair, they're called Pavlovskias, and they have fully feathered feet. They're from Russia, and they actually like to be outside when it's like minus 35. So they are a really good breed to have in Manitoba, obviously, because we get super cold. And so they're just a really neat breed. They're super rare in Manitoba. These ones I got from Quebec too. I got all of these ones from Quebec. The gray one you see, they're Hitamoras. I hatched them too. I didn't hatch the Brahmas. I bought them from a breeder here in Manitoba. But I did hatch the Hitamoras. And the Hitamoras actually can come in a few different varieties. So the Hitamoras come in the lavender like you see, like Hazel. This is Hazel here. And then this is Bubba. Oh, she's being shy.
So to talk a little bit about the structures then, are they heated?
Mine I'm really lucky. My husband loves me a lot. And so he has built me some lovely coops. And I do have fully insulated coops. And I just put, in the wintertime, I just have a heat lamp. It's attached to the ceiling, so I don't have to worry. I know there's all kinds of controversy over whether you should use heat lamps or not. Mine are attached to the ceiling with carabiners. And I only have them on a thermostat, so when it goes below like minus 10 or 12 or something like that, it'll turn on. So it turns on very rarely, but I do have that on once in a while, yeah. So it works out okay. So, and they stay in that coop over there, my chickens. This coop actually is for my peafowl. So that's for my peacocks.
Perfect, and we will take a look at them at some point. What else do you do for maintenance regarding the chickens? Is there a lot of cleaning of the coop involved?
I like to keep a really clean coop. For me, it helps keep down on... I've never had troubles with viruses or infections or mites or any of that sort of stuff. I know that can be a real big problem when you're dealing with chickens and stuff. So I clean my coop all the time. When we show you my coop, it's called a poop board. So it's underneath where, I know, but it's underneath where they perch. So I clean that about every couple of days so they're not walking through it. And it really minimizes them walking through it because they're so fluffy and furry, like their feathered feet. They can have a tendency to get really mucked up, so you have to really keep it clean. I actually did just bath Muffin, the bigger Brahma over there with the black feathers. I actually did just bath her today so that she was ready for the show. So because they're so furry, they can get, and it rained yesterday. They're silly and they like to dusty bath, and so she was dusty bathing in the mud. So I just had to, bath her legs and her bum and stuff, and so she was out, and she looks much nicer now, so. But that's just by choice. She would have been fine by the end of today. She'd have been all in the sand and cleaned herself off, but not in time for this.
Yeah. So the coops, they also keep them safe from predators, right? Yeah, did you have a lot of trouble with?
We in the area where we are, we have lots of foxes and coyotes, and for me, I know that's a natural thing, and I know that can happen. I don't let excuse me, I don't let our chickens out or our birds out without me being around. You can see I have a 3-wire electric fence around now. We did have raccoons break into the peacock enclosure, and luckily the peacocks were really noisy, and I think the raccoons got more than they bargained for, and they doubled back out before anything could happen. If they'd broken into the chicken coop, probably they'd have caused some damage. So that's when we added the electric fence around it, and so it really helped on that end. We had some trouble with foxes a few years ago. They devastated the coop. The chickens were out here playing in the yard, and yeah, I mean, foxes are smart. So it's happened, right? It happens to everybody. It can happen to the best of people, but you just got to be as diligent as you can. The hardest thing, I think, is weasels, because weasels can get in between the wires. It doesn't matter. They can get fit in between the chicken wires. So that's the scariest thing. Chickens are really easy to feed. Chickens, you can go to the store and just buy a layer diet, or you can buy chick starter, or you can buy grower. Like, there's all kinds of variety of things for chickens to feed them. They're super easy. There's lots of treats. There's all kinds of things. Peacocks are a completely different beast. So it's corn and sunflower seeds that I have a blend that I mix up. So I put that in there. Then I have to buy, it's a super high protein. It's like 36% protein, a crumble that I have to feed them. Then I feed them these, they're like bugs. They're all kinds of different bugs that you can get. They really like the mealworms the best. I feed them cat food because the cat food's super high in protein. They also have to have like a diatomaceous earth because it helps get rid of bugs too. They have to be dewormed about twice a year just because usually they're out in nature a lot, so they pick up all kinds of things. Mine, I haven't let mine out yet because when I got them, they were only about a little over a year old, and they fly, right? Like peacocks can fly away. And so I want to make sure that they know that this is their home. And so until they've had a chance to have a clutch of eggs and raise a clutch of eggs, which they don't do until they're 2 or 3, they're not fertile till they're 2 or 3, so they can't do that. So hopefully this year they'll be able to do that. Then I'll let them out to go do that. They may end up at the neighbor's house because hopefully the neighbor will send them home. So I've not done that. So I haven't had to actually, it's not been necessary for me to deworm them. I have, just because I like to keep them healthy. They also get the traditional chicken scratch. That's their very favorite. They would, it's like candy to them. They're like children. They'll pick out all the rest of the stuff and throw it on the floor, and they'll eat the chicken scratch. So that's kind of their main diet is what they eat. And it's a lot of like oats and barley, and so it's not a horrible thing for them to eat, but you have to keep putting back in all the other food and make them eat it. So that's been the main thing. The chickens, though, so long as they're getting a real good quality layer diet, and I had found that I was giving them through the winter when it was so cold, the corn and the seeds, it was causing them to have really bad tummy upset, but it was keeping them really warm. So it's kind of, you have to find that it's hard to find that balance, right? Like, it's a really hard thing to do because you don't want to overheat them with the lamps and stuff because it causes fire hazards, but you also don't want to you got to keep them warm. So I feed them berries and oatmeal and yogurt and all those other things for things to keep them, because it's fun and it's good for them, but it's also, you've got to find the happy medium with the layer diet and everything else. So they seem to be happy. I have just a trio of peafowls. So I have my male is Merlin, and then the one over there is Aura, and then that's Gala. So they're only, I think they're about 3 years old, just about. Um, you can see poor Merlin, he's molting right now. Typically they molt in the fall, so that just means he loses all his tail feathers, all his eye feathers and everything. But for some reason he didn't. He kept them all through the winter. And I'm not sure why. Just typically it means that he's super healthy. So I'm quite happy that he did, because it means that he just stayed warmer, right? So the more feathers they have, the warmer they stay. So that's not a bad thing. Except that he looks ridiculous. And now is mating season, so just means he can't, show off for the ladies as well. And every time he tries, oh, see, they're fighting. Every time he tries to show off for the ladies, he loses more feathers. So that just looks ridiculous, but that's okay. You can kind of see he's starting to grow the green there on his back. You can kind of see that little bit that's starting. Those will actually grow longer than the feathers that he has now. Yeah, those will be his actual eye feathers and his train. So these ones will fall out, these like 4 that he's got left. They'll fall out eventually, like these other straggly things that are on the ground. And those ones will grow probably in the next month, and he'll have a whole huge full bloom of feathers.
They grow pretty quick then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he'll have a full tail, a full fan in, I would say, in the next for sure 2 months. Gala is the boss. She's the alpha in the mix. Typically the males are, but he's not a very dominant male. And I'm okay with that, because I used to have 2 males, and I sold the other one because they were starting to fight. The other male was far more dominant, and having more males, they can actually puncture holes in each other because they have really big talons. And I didn't want a super dominant male because I wanted to be able to come in and socialize, and I have a niece, and I wanted children to be able to come in and, friends and stuff. I didn't want them attacking me. Yeah. And so it worked out okay. So he's super social, and he's friendly, and he's, lovely with the ladies. As you can see, it's really her who's kind of less social, but she still is, really nice. So peacocks actually live like 40 years. They live a really long time. And they fly. They perch up in the tree here. Most of the summer, they'll stay out here all night long. They call. They kind of make this meowing noise. I don't know if anybody's ever heard them. We eat their eggs. People think that's super weird, but we do eat their eggs because they, up until now, haven't been fertile. Hopefully pretty soon they'll start laying. They actually only lay seasonally. They only lay for about 3 weeks or so in the spring, and again about 3 weeks in the fall. So that's if you keep taking them. They really only lay like a clutch of eggs. So they'll lay enough to set on, and then they set on their eggs, and then they hatch them, and then that's it. So, but if you keep taking them, then they keep laying. And then, but only for about 3 weeks, and then they stop.
And this here is the peafowl coop, correct?
Yeah, they actually need a bit of a different type of a coop than a chicken does because of Merlin's train. So they have to have a minimum of 5 feet to have their perch on, because he has to have a 5-foot distance for his train to have. And those are the nesting boxes in the corner. Because they're so big, they obviously need to have that big of a nesting box. So that's where they have to have their nesting box. They also, for their feeders, they can't have, their feeder is in the bottom on the ground. They don't like to have anything touch their crown when they eat. So their water is just a big bucket, because they don't like to have their crown touch anything when they drink. And so I had originally had a regular waterer when I first got them, and a regular chicken feeder when I got them, but they were not eating that right, and they weren't drinking properly, and so they would turn their heads funny. So I decided just to get them a big bucket and and a pail. So they seem to enjoy it a whole lot better. They eat a whole lot better and more regularly. So it works. It works for them. And I bought eggs. So I have 6 Faverolles, no Hitamoras, 6 Brahmas, and 6 Pavlovskias, and then more to hatch today. We'll see when we get in the house. And that's that. So yeah. And then I'm done.
No more.
Chicken math. We'll see. The incubators aren't put away yet, so we'll see how that goes. These were born on May 4th. So what does that make them? What's 2 weeks? These are 2 weeks old? Yeah. So these are Faverolles. So those are the brown fluffy ones with the little face beards. And so these are the ones that I bought. I bought these eggs and hatched them. So I don't know which are males and which are females yet. I should be able to tell in the next week, hopefully. Because the ones with all black on their wings will be male, and the ones that have brown on them will be female. That's how you can sex these chicks. So I am hoping for 2 males and 4 females. That would be ideal. That would make my world complete. But of course, who knows what's going to happen. So if you see how it has, oh, it's cold, a little bit of brown on its wing up there. Mm-hmm. That would lead me to believe, oh, it's pooping, that it is a girl. Because if it was all black, then I would believe that it was a boy. Well, do you see how this one has some brown, but more black? Do you see how it has almost all black up there? Yeah. So to me, that one to me looks like it could be a male. Potentially. I mean, it still has some brown, but more black feather. Okay. But again, I don't know. The feathers will come in the next week or so. Someone who was good at this, who bred Faverolles, the guy who I got them from, Derek, he would know right away. He'd look at this and say, oh no, that is whatever it is. Yeah. Plus it looks like it's maybe getting a bit of a comb on its face.
Okay.
Do you see how it's kind of got a bit of a comb? Yeah. Oh, you cold little chickie, it's shivering. Oh, no. So that could be. I don't know. Okay. I'll keep you posted. These ones hatched on the 9th. So these are just not even quite a week old yet. Not quite a week old. And these are Brahmas. So these are like the big yellow ones. So I bought these eggs as well. I got them in an auction. And so yeah, these are called lemon pile Brahmas. Mm-hmm. That's what these ones are. So these will be the biggest of all the ones I have. They get to be about, the girls get to be about 11 pounds and the boys get to be, I actually don't know because I've never had a boy, but I've heard they get to be about 3 feet tall. Oh. So they get to be quite big. So I have 5 lemon Brahmas. Oh, hop off, little buddy. And then I accidentally got a little blue one. So this one. This is the only one I've named. Her name is Smudge. So. Yeah. So hopefully it's a girl. That's my hope. Because I don't have a girl as a mate for her she's a he. So these are like the crazy haired ones. And this is my heat lamp that I have for in here. This is a different kind of a heat lamp. This is, it's called a, I don't know, it's just, it's like a broody hen or whatever. So it's actually got a metal plate on it, and so it's quite hot actually, but the chicks just rub up against it and then they stay warm. It's a lot safer than a heat lamp in your house. So these are like my room.